setting off the links. Nearly there. Nearly there. Nearly there. Facebook done, just doing Twitter now. Right. Good afternoon, Stuart. How are you? You're good? Hey, Dave. Good. Glad you. Okay, Stuart. Yeah, I'm good. Been busy, but good. It's busy is a good thing. I haven't had the chance to do the update the source Odin defines, so we'll just carry on for now with the ones we've got. We can do that next. Do that ready for next time. There it goes. Right, I suppose what we should probably do is should probably split it into a game loop. So there's a game file as well, and that way we can keep the keep this in main stuff in main and have the different game sources. Should we do that now? What do you reckon? Should we do it now, or should we just jump into add blocks for layer 2? and just make sure it's still samples and runs. Okay, died. Anyway, what do you reckon? Do we go straight to? Do you want to go straight to doing drawing layer 2 tiles on the screen, or well, for the game, or do we want to put the defines in, or do we want to? Actually, no, we'll do the defines. I'll do the defines separately, ready for next week. The week after next. So do we do the split the main into main and game.odn, or do we just jump straight in and draw some tiles on layer 2 for the background? Is anybody saying anything? Because I can't see any update on the text. Tiles. Okay, Stuart, we'll go tiles. Right. So what we want to do is we'll just test our tile routine by we'll draw a tile in. Actually, we will quit out and we'll draw a tile in our set of my sprites. Right. Oh, sorry, that was my fault. I haven't got a mouse set up, bugger. Oh well, let's use the keys. Right. Just going through what keys were again. Right. So L and K to move left and right with the sprite selection. Right. So put it backboard it around. Actually, no, we don't want black. We want the tile to be black. I don't think we add fill. I'm sure we did. Symbol shift W. Right, so we need to set the color. No, it's not that. Right, anyway, I'll just fill it in, so that fill it in manually. Won't take too long. anyone wants to know how I'm doing this, I'm holding the M and the D, and then tap the W once to go up a bit. Just press J so you can see the keys moving around. Right, so let's do a actually do a tile that's like that. And we'll soften the edge a bit around the edges. Right, so let's just save that. Right, load in ls load main.odn. Right, has everyone drawn their sprite, their block that we want to put down? Has everyone drawn their sprite or their block that we're gonna draw? Yep, cool. Right, anyone not drawn it yet? Anyone not drawn it? No? Okay, cool. Let's carry on. Right. So, what we want to do is, actually, we want to load the main, put it in main, actually. We will keep it in the games, but we'll have it at the beginning. So, when it draws, clears layer 2, we want to do load de, 0, because that's where we want to draw our block. We want to draw it in the top left of the screen, and we want to load A with 1, which is our block number, and we want to call draw L2 block. Right, and then save that with extended mode S, or if you're on a PC, Control Shift and S, and then edit, and then load screen handler. Right. What's it? Draw. What did we call it? Draw L2 block. Draw L2 block. Right. We want to do load L with A, because we want to get the block number, and then we want to multiply it. Actually, we don't even need to do that because it's 256 bytes for a tile. We just do that. Put the tile block in the high byte, and then what we do is add HL, sprites. Because we've got nothing in banks yet, it's all in direct memory, so we will change this obviously at a later date, but for now since it's all in memory at the same time, well, in the same 64K chunk that the Z80 can access. You don't need to do any bank changing yet, but we will do to draw it. So let me see where right, Sprite are the last thing, so that'll be high up, or at least I think it will be. So I just need to find out where I should bank the we used bank 6, didn't we? Which got a good chance that it's going to be where the graphics are. My best off doing is, yeah, so you've got our screen position in DE. Entry is DE equals Y X. It's like D equals Y, E equals X, A equals block. I'm going to change that to position, Y position. Right. So we need to, now that we've freed up A, so we can use that for what do we call it? Memory banks, current banks. Read. Let's see. Custodian. It's definitely a banks.ogn there. Nah. Okay. I don't know why that's happened. I shouldn't have done. Right, let's. No, unable to write yet. I'm going to have to reset it. Right, reset. It's somehow lost the SD. Right. Browser. Yes. Right, is that not working? That still thinks it's on drive M. Check the SD card, put it back in again, and restart. Browser. Nope, still. There we go. That was weird. Right, so load in. Load main.odn. Load banks.odn. Load green.odn. Right. Right, we called. I take it we've called get banks. Just checking main, see what it gets called. Yeah, get banks. Right. So in no, not in main. Actually, in main, let's just check to make sure it's been called. Yep, we've got draw L2 block. Right. Draw L2 block. So it was load L, 0, load H, A, add HL, sprites. And then we want to do load A, current banks plus 1. Swap the run mouse. Load A, D, and string C0. I want to see which third it's in off the screen. And then we want RLCA to get it into. Right, so we basically ended up just having those bits active that are ones. So the RLCA will do that, and RLCA again will make it that. So whatever the 2 bits were, so that was bit 6, and that was what bit 7 was. There's bit 6 and bit 7. Right, so that's 0 to 3. Actually, we could probably do it one more time because, yeah. and we'll make it E. Basically, the reason for this is we're only setting one 8K bank, not a 16K bank. So we'll need to, that's because we're using the high byte for the address into the bank. That's 256 to 511. So So 512, 1024, 2048, 4096, 8192. So 8K. So that'll give us with the bottom 5 bits will give us our position into the bank. So now we've got A saying which bank it is. At A comma that's 9 times 2, which is the current screen, well, layer 2, because it's usually set up as start off at bank 8 or 16K bank 8, sorry, 16K bank 9 for layer 2, and so we times 2 because we're referencing in 8K banks for the MMU. So it's next reg MMU register 1, because we're storing the current bank plus 1, which is bank 1, or 8K bank 1, which is address 2000 to 3FFF, so just before the screen in the ROM. Right. Comma A, and then we want to load A comma D, push DE, actually we'll push D and push HL in case we've got them in a loop. DE and push BC because we're going to be using them, and then that way we're not going to mess any registers up, so we can when we're pointing to a little tile map, we can use HL and D and not worry about when we call draw L2 block that it'll mess up our registers. Right, so load with D, then we want to AND it with string 1F, which is that, or as you can see 1F, 1 and then F with 4 bits. Load D comma A. Also we want to add A comma string 20, point to 8K bank. Where the hell did that come from? Bank 1. Because bank 1 starts at 2000 hex. Right, and then we want to do load C comma 16, and then we want to give it a label name, draw L2 block, DL2B C loop. Right, load B comma 16, DL2B B loop. Right, on it, load A comma brackets HL. Yeah, so that just in case you want to change it for later, if you want to make it not draw color 0 or whatever. Right, so load D, A. I mean, we could use LDIs, but then that'll change the registers, so we'd have to make that one be A maybe. But yeah, we'll leave it like that for now because it's inc HL, inc E, and then the reason I'm doing inc E is because it's writing to the screen, and because each line is 256 bytes long. But with the inc E, it's just going to wrap around, so it should be handy for us in future if we want to start doing scrolling and keep on the same line. Right. And then we can just do subtract from DE when after we've done this DJNZ, DL2B BLP, draw layer 2 block B loop, and then load A, E, sub 16, load E, A. I mean, there are like loads of faster ways of doing this, but for now we're just doing simple things that are easy for you to take in. And then we want to dexc JRNZ Z, draw layer 2 block C loop. And we want to pop AF, pop which order do we push them in? Yeah. Pop D, pop HL, and ret. X. Right, is everyone? No. Stuart's comment for the second RLCA should be 1. Oh yeah. Oh. Sorry. Well spotted. That was because I initially did 2, but we wanted 3. So yeah, you're right there. Right. Because it was initially just ANDing with C0 because we were just getting these 2, so it's just 2 and then 1. And I forgot that one when we added the other bit. Right, so just make sure we haven't got any needing to save, assemble, and run. Oops. You know what we forgot, don't you? Can anyone remember what we forgot? I was lucky that actually that might be best to restart just in case that did anything to RAM. Let me check. It's still got that there, so we'll carry on. Load main .ods odn, load screen handler.odn. Oops, if I spell it right. one thing we forgot to do was the other pop, which is just before, and what we want to do is pop AF, load current banks +1, A, MMU, next reg, MMU, register 1, A. Right, and save that. Assemble. Oh, wrong file. Main. Right, and then run. Why did we not have our block? Oh, didn't mean to start that then. Right. Let's see what. See what the clear bank does. Just to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. Clear banks in thingy, isn't it? In banks. Yeah. Right. Load. Nope, don't need to load. Right, so Sprites, current bank, push it, put down the, let's see, add times 2, next reg. And also I forgot to do that's when you're changing banks, it's always good practice to actually store in a register where you what your bank was, so you can recall it for when, like, if you start doing interrupts, you know which bank it is just by reading the current bank's address. And I'll do 20, I'll do with A. So yeah, DE should be where the screen is. No. I'm going to do load A, 255. So I'm going to fill it with white, just so we can see that it's actually drawing the block. Go back to main. clear screen, draw our block. Right. Save and remain. Assemble. Run. It's still not drawing our block. Right, now what we can do is definitely not clearing it after the clear screen and draws the blocks. Hang on, let me just make sure that the block's saved, otherwise because it probably didn't save. No, it's not that. I know why. I know why. I know exactly why. Just figured out now. Can't anyone tell me? I know why, but I'll just wondering if anyone thinks they know why. What did I miss? It's a very important thing in draw block that I missed. Let's get to the it's here. You forgot ink D. Otherwise it's still drawing on the top line, which gets overwritten by the draw box. So if we save that, because we moved the screen pointer back 16 because we've just written 16 and increased, but then we forgot to increase the Y, so it stays at 0. That's why that was not working. Right, so hopefully we can put that back to 1. And assemble and run. Yay! We have our block. Right, so has everyone got a block on the screen? Has everyone got a block on the screen? If not, where are they up to? Is the chat working? Is anybody there? I'm not seeing any messages. Now let me go to the you got your block working, cool. Right. That was a slow thing. So everyone's up to date with that, or at least you two are anyway. Tony, have you got your block working? Have you got your block showing? Assuming you're still here, Tony. Tony Dang, you still got your block showing. What we can do now is load a comma 0, call draw L2 room. Yep, cool. Yes, question mark, exclamation mark Q. What's your question? Assuming that Q is for asking a question, Tony. Yes, no, was a question, not a question. I just deleted the old draw block because we're going to now do a draw room. Draw L2 room. Right, load E comma 12 times 16. No, it's not that. It's 16, not times 2, because it's 2 characters, but it's 16 pixels. So 12 times 16 pixels is 192, and 16 times, I thought that wasn't right. Yeah, 256. So this is our screen resolution. And load D comma A, which is our room number, and mul D comma E, and load HL comma room data, add HL comma DE, load E comma D comma 0, draw L2R, and then we'll do load C comma 12, and then that's C loop. Do load E comma 0, load B comma 16, draw layer 2 room B loop. Then what we want is load A comma brackets HL, inc HL, call draw L2 block, load A comma E, add A comma 16, load E comma A, I'll point it to the next block. Then we want to DJNZ DL2R BLP. Right, now the thing is, right, we start off with DE being 0. But because we go through 16 times and each time we add 16, E becomes 0 anyway, comes back to 0, so we can do load DE with 0 here. And then get rid of this instruction. And then that will get rid of that line. And the reason being is we don't need that load E with 0 here. So that is only 3 instructions instead of the load D with 0 being 2 instructions and the load E comma 0 being two instructions, so we've just saved 1 byte by having the E up there, considering we know that 1616 takes E back to 0. And then we want to load A, D, add A, 16, load D, A. Actually, we could do compare 192, no. Yeah, compare 192. And that would mean we can get rid of this. And JR, actually, jump, carry, DL to R C loop. Right, and then ret. So what that'll do is, normally what I would have done is like dex C, JPN Z, but we don't need to use the C register at all because we've already got D, which is counting up. I've already got D in the A register, so we just do a compare. It takes less instructions. Right, so then we'll save that, go to our main routine, and then at the bottom of our main routine, actually we could do include data.odn. So if I copy that and paste it there, right, and then L, new, sorry, not L because we haven't written it yet, new data.odn. Right, and then we have room data. We have db thanks, Matt. Yeah, a bit scary, but yeah, they come in handy. Like for when you get to the end of your program, if you know how to save bytes here and there, then it comes in handy. Obviously, the fact that we've got banks that we'll be able to use, it shouldn't be as much of an issue moving forward, but you still do run out of room inside banks, so being able to compress things a bit inside your code bank is quite handy. Right, so we will have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, I'm going to use hex here, and I'll show you why, because you'll probably, hopefully, like this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Is that 16? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 16. Yeah, right. And then one actually do F because stupid. Actually, no, I will make it 0 because we're going to change the sprites again in a minute. Right, and then we want to duplicate that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then copy that. 1, 2, 12. So we now have 16 by 12 grid. Right, and I'll show you the reason that I did these in hex. Let me just right, should be able to save that. Assemble. D, E. Okay. Didn't like the mul. Is it multi-E? No, unless it's just mul. Yeah. Right. It's mul. Have you got rid of the multi-E? Yeah, it's extend mode D to duplicate the line. Yeah, Matt, exactly. Even with Z80, even with loads of banks, like we've got with our when we've got 2 meg nexts, even with the all that memory, you can still fill decode banks up quite easily. Possibly even more so because you've got to call other things and call in banks and stuff, and your code like can fill up a bank quite easily. So you end up having code in other banks. Right. Well, in room data, sorry, no worries. We've got 12 by 16 for the rooms. And oops. Oh yeah, it says 12 times 16. Oh, that was 12 times 16. Sorry, ignore that. Right, let's go to the room data. Right. First line is ones, 16 ones, then 1, 14 zeros, and a 1. And do that 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then last row of all ones. And that's 12 by 16 then. So 24 characters deep and 32 characters wide. That fills the screen. Right, so has everyone got that? Are we ready to run? You should get a load of cursors now. Or maybe not. And I die every time because we've got block 0. our sprite should be right. Let's have a look at bank data. There's definitely ones and zeros. So if I no, it's not undo. Right, save screen handler. Right. So draw L2 room. Or draw routine. Return to draw room 0. So in our screen handler, that should be 0 anyway, so when it does the multiply it should be 0. Add in 0 to room data, so definitely point to our room data. Hitting do with HL, ink HL, and draw a block. And the block takes A as the and D as the X and Y position, so we've got 0. So, and it did fill the screen with white, so we know that's something. But it's filled it with a white character. Yeah, no DE or D, E in the mul. It's just mul. Sorry. Yeah. Hang on. Let's go back in. Sorry, Stu. Which file did you? We want main.odn load data.odn load screen and load.odn. Right. Yeah. Draw L2 room is load E with 12 times 16. Load D with 8 and mul. And then load HL with room data, add HL, DE. Load D with 0. Load B with 16. And then load A with HL, ink HL, call draw block, L2 block. Load A with D, add 16, load E with A, DJ and Z, draw L2 room B loop. And then load A with D, add A16, load D with A, compare 192, jump C, comment, draw layer 2, room C loop, and then return. No worries. Right, which one isn't saved? That one. Save. Right, so my spr.spr. Right, so we should definitely get our sprite, but we don't seem to. Let me just draw something that I know should be there. Right, let's fill it with blue. Let's put another colour in there just to make sure. Put this red colour in there. Right. Save that. Load main.odn. Assemble. Run. Right. Clears the screen. And then it draws. Clears the screen, draws our room. It doesn't really need to clear the screen because it's going to draw our room over it anyway. So let's just comment that out for now. Not that it makes any difference. Load screen handler.odn. It is a flag. I was thinking, oh, I'm not drawing a flag, am I? Right. Right, let's make sure that we're at least getting room data correct. If I force it to be 2, assemble main.odn. If I force it to be always draw block 2, it should draw the flag we've just drawn. And it's not, so our draw flag is wrong. Right. Yeah, I'll draw block, I mean. Right, so if we go to draw block, we can do a ret there because we're not pushing the flags or anything, pushing registers. So let's just draw one block with our draw map. Right. Yeah, it's just drawing. Right. So it's a problem with our draw block, not the draw map. Load HL, sprites. Yeah, so that should draw our cursor. No, it won't, because we had the load A with 255, our test bit to draw the block to make sure it was getting the right data, so we can get rid of that and that, and now we should have our blocks, a room full of our blocks. So if I then assemble it and run. I know I did that a bit quick. Did anybody not see what I did? We've got our blocks. Right. Get rid of our HL with sprites because we don't want it to just draw block 0. And now we should have our block around the edge. Yep, there we go. That's right. Right, is everyone getting the same? Is anyone not getting the same? Is everyone up to the same part? Yes, no. Everyone got a working map now? This lag's a pain. Only getting one corner block. Right, did you fix the room so it didn't did you take the ret from here? Stu? Because otherwise that will only draw one block. If you didn't take the ret back out. See if I put the ret in. Hopefully by the time I've done this you'll have it fixed. Or at least reply. See, that is what I'm assuming that you've got on yours. Right. So if you comment out that block, it should work. Hit that ret in the draw room. Is your draw room like that, Stuart? Did you get rid of the ret after the draw L2 block in the draw L2 room routine? Kind of thinking this might be easier if we did this with like Google Meets or like some kind of functionality that people would share their screens, but then you can't really save the meeting for other people to watch. It's a bit of a pain. You have no ret there. Okay. Right, so right, let's have a look at main. Let's CLS back in. Right, have you got in by life loop? Have you got the load A, 0 and draw L2 room? Or is it still calling the draw L2 block? With the load D, 0. Because originally in we had it like that, didn't we? So So you've got draw L2 room, yeah. Right, okay, cool. Let's see. Right, draw L2 room, you should have. That it won't matter too much because we're calling it with A equaling 0, so it'll still be 0. So it'll just be like load HL with room data. And then, so you've definitely got this bit of code in. Load D, naught, DL2 R C loop, load B, 16, DL2 R B loop, load A with brackets HL, inc HL, call draw L2 block, load A with D, add A, 16, load D with A, DGNZ, DL2 R B loop, load A with D, add 16, load D with A, compare 192, jump C, draw L2 R C loop. So have you got that in your code? For your draw L2 room. And you still get just one block. And you only get one block drawn. And you don't get that, you just get one block in the top left. Right. Next thing to do then is to test the draw block. Right, what we'll do, right, so you just get the one block, right, okay. Try this then. Comment out these two lines and then do load A, 0. Load A, 0, load DE, string 2020, call draw L2 block. Right, and then save that, and then assemble and run. Now you should get a cursor there. Do you get a cursor like at 32 pixels into the screen? In the X and Y? Or is it in the top left? Afternoon, Pep. You've missed a bit. As for quite a way, it might be best for you to then feel free to stay and watch, but it might be best to catch up and then if not, because we've added files, made changes to the Sprite blocks. Good day, mate, Paul. Right, so Stuart, what have you got now? Have you got, or is it, never mind, you'll have to catch up. Okay, alrighty. Let's go back to where we were. Actually, just get rid of these now. So we've got our room. And what we want to do now is change the blocks a bit. Right, now the reason I had the data.odn, the reason I had these in as hex, does anyone know why I had it as hex, sorry, not x. Why I did these as hex rather than decimal? Anyone got an idea why I did it like that? A, always 2 digits, so it looks neat. And B, which is more importantly, when we go to Sprite edit, right, the top row start with 0, and then the first digit. The next row start with 1 for the first digit. The next row start with 2 for the first digit, and the last row start with 3 for the first digit. And then every left one is the second digit is 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E. Oh, sorry, gone too far. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, and F. So you can easily find out which tile you want. Right, so say I drew something in this tile. Can't use my mouse on that. So if I do a actually, let's do a block around here. Find our ink color for M. To change the ink color, it's Y. U and I changes the ink color. Right, and what I'm doing is I'm doing the top left corner. And then if we go our black is the empty space. Actually, if we change that, and bright white is our block. So this is going to be like a boulder or a wall that you can crash into. Right, and then we go to the next one, and then basically do the same again, except that should be black. A little while to do, sorry. Maybe I should have done a proper fill routine. Right, and then we can do the same. And right, and what we want to do is copy that one and Control C to copy, or simple Shift C and simple Shift V to paste. And then what we can do now is copy that in there and then fill this in black, because the screen being black is our empty play area where we can go around. Right, and what else should we do? We'll have that as it for now. So let's save, Shift S, Cap Shift S, and then Simple Shift Space to exit. Right, is everyone, you can pick up the colour at the cursor, yeah. .odin load main.odn, load data.odn. Right, now you will see why we had the these. Right. So what I can do is just use this one line and get rid of all the other lines. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So back to 12 lines of 0. And then say we wanted in this corner our or bolder. Do you see what we're doing there? Basically from the first row, well not, well from the second row because the first row is 0. So row 1 and column 0. Row 1, column 1. Row 2, column 0. Row 2, column 1. And that's why I use the hex. Because you can easily reference which sprite you want. Right, and say we want one over here. So it's 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 1. And so we'll have one. Actually, I don't want one there because that's where the baddies start. Mind you, I'll move it one down further. One, 2. Right, and then we'll put one maybe here. And maybe have one up here for us to head towards. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Let's save that. Assemble main.odn. And run. And we have our now have our tiles on. They've all died, haven't they? You need to make it so that when the other players have died, that was probably the first time I've won them, isn't it? Didn't win then. I was going to put a win then. Anyway, we now have our tile map. Has everyone who was following that managed to get the tile map got the tile map, or that anyone not got it working? Where they were following but now they messed up. And does everyone see why I did the hex numbers? And yeah, it's one use of overwrite. If you're in here and you do extended mode O, puts it into overwrite mode, which is the red thingy, so you can just do 1, 1, 2, 1 like that, so it's a lot easier. So yes, and then extend mode O to get us back out of the overwrite mode. Thank you for that, Ped. It's a nice feature. Is Matt here today? Matt being Davies, not you, Matt Langley. Yep, makes sense. Cool. Right. So we now have a game with a tile map and we have the baddies. Right, what I would probably want to do now is should probably separate it out into routines like main, and then have main call the game routine. And then we can have different games do different things. And then we can just do include and then whatever game and whatever game. Obviously it will have to be a different player as well and different baddies. Do you want to do that, or do you want to do something else? Because what I plan to do next is, now that we've got the tile map working, I want to slowly move away from the pixels with the light cycles. So I'm going to change the game. That's why I was deciding what you wanted to do next with what you're learning. Because what I want to do is change the light cycles now to tanks, and we can have them rotate. Obviously they'll be drawn rotated, so it'll be just like 4 directions or 8 directions. And so we'll have the tanks moving around and then firing bullets, and then that way we can look at doing collision for other objects and collision with bullets and tanks, bullets and baddies, and bullets and their bullets and you. So what do you want to do next? What do you guys want to do next? Do you want to split the routines up so we make separate routines, so separate files for the different games, or do we just copy the whole folder into another folder? Yeah, we'll start splitting. Okay, cool. Right, let's start this off then. As this is the game, currently the game and main, what we want to do is save game1.odn. Right, right, so this is now the game. So game1.ods. By the way, as long you had to make sure that you were on the main.ods ODN file before you did that save game1, because otherwise you'll have something else as you game1. Right, so we want to get rid of the bits that are going to be in main. So when I have the title, it'll just be this play game stuff here, and the game loop, and then exit game will have that let me just load in main.odn again. Right, so our title calls the main menu, then calls play game, which plays the game until you choose exit. And this we won't go game loop. Play not dead. Right, so yeah, game exits calls Sprite off and exits. because that just goes back to the title bit, which is in the main menu. So we need exit program. What file are we in here? We're in main. So we want to get rid of up to game exit in let's save that. Go to main. So in our main, we want to game loop. Do jump play game, and then get rid of all this, take it down to the game exit. In fact, we can change that to jump NZ. Because otherwise it'll fall straight into exit program anyway. So that's basically doing a jump Z exit program. Right, in fact, no, what we will do is we will do jump Z, comma, exit program. And then we'll do jump title. And then instead of this jump NZ, comma, play game, it will be call play game, which will then jump to title. So we want play game to exit. So where it's got the jump title in the right, so get rid of exit program onwards inside game 1. So where we've got jump title, this will be now red. So all lives lost, return. Right, so that's our game program now, in game 1. So if we then go back to our main, we need to include it. So include game 1. Oh shit, what did I do then? I just paged up, I think. Yeah. .odn, I did just page it up. Right. Save that. We should be able to run that. We've got our game 1 included. And then run that. So it should still work as it did before. Died. Dead. Right. So that worked. stayed in the loop. So we've now got our game 1 split. I mean, we could put the split sprites in, but we won't. Right. What we'll do is we'll load the player and baddies. Load player.odn. Load baddies.odn. Right. So baddies. We will ped, can we have nested includes? Can we have an include another file? The reason I'm asking is, right, so we've got our baddies there. Right, so baddies and save baddies1.odn, and then we'll go to our player, and then we'll save player1.odn. Yep, well, we're about to find out. So if we go to main, now, need to get to the beginning of the line, cut that, and go into game 1, down the bottom, and do include baddies1 and player1. Okay, player1. Right, save that. Let's find out if it works. It works. Well done. Yep, all still works. Cool. Right. Didn't mean to do that. Last one. That's it. Right. Now we now have player.odn and player1.odn and baddies.odn and baddies1.odn and game1.odn. Right, now save that. I'm going to go to our game. And we want to save game2.odn. Right. Go down to the bottom and get this to load. Baddies2. And player2. Save that, and then we need to go to player1 and then save layer 2.odn, and then want to go to baddies1 and save baddies2.odn. Right, and by some mad miracle, we should be able to just change that to game 2. Save that, assemble, and it will now include our baddies 2. Right. So now we can start modifying. Right. So if I go back to game 1, save that, load game1.odn, right, and make it not draw the room, save that. Now if we go to main.odn, we should have game 1. So if I assemble that, run it, we have our game, no blocks. And then yeah, well done Matt for the ability to do that. Have the include files and nested includes, because that has just made it a hell of a lot simpler, because that now you can just change one letter in the whole file, or one bit even, change one byte, assemble it, run it, and we now have game 2. Hey! You've now made 2 games. So what we can start doing is we can start now using our game 2. Actually, if I go to game 1, I can close that file. See what else we've got in. Yeah. Ooh, our data should be from the game as well. So I need to do save data1.odn and save data2.odn. Right, and if we go to game, then include data2. ODN, save that, copy it, and load in game 1. Down to the bottom, and then paste, change the 2 to a 1. We can now get rid of this data and close off game 1 and save that. Assemble. Yep. And run. Yep, still works. Right, so we've now split off the data for the games. We haven't split off the sprites yet. But we could start doing that next, because what we are going to do is have this at the end of the code. The reason being is we can then do this. Save, and if we go to game 2, game 2, game 1.odn, because we'll need it in there as well. Save that. And that should work. In fact, what I will do is to save and right. Now we need to quit out of this, because this won't compile anymore, because we haven't got right. Now the way we can do this is by the mysprite.spr. we can copy by C. Yes. Now what we need to do is go to a different folder, just go back to the root, and then paste, which is P, I think. Yep. Right, so if you go down to the bottom, which is usually where it puts it, I've just gone over that's an old one anyway. Where is my SPR? Right, if I rename that to MySprite 2, and then copy that, yes, and then go to the coding tutorials and paste. We should now have and if we rename the original one to MySprite 1, and we need to do the same again with this mysprite.pal, and we need to change that in the sources as well. So we need to rename it. It doesn't matter. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Right, and then copy that. Yes. Go back a folder. Paste. Yes. And then go down to MySprite 1. Rename that MySprite 2. Copy that. Yes. Go back to our coding tutorials folder and paste. Yes. Right, so we have my SPR2 and my SPR12 sprite. I just need to make sure I've got a PAL. Yeah, PAL1 and my SPR2 PAL. So now that we've got that done, let's go back in the folder. Right. Dot Odin, and then we should be able to load main dot odn, load game 1 dot odn, and load game 2 dot odn. Right, now need to go to the main one, and there is been screen handler only. Right. Screen handler dot odn. Didn't want that semicolon in there. Oh, we haven't changed the palette, have we? That's why it's not there. Don't worry, we'll leave that for now because we're just using the default palette for layer 2 at the moment. So, right, so that's game 1. So in game 2, what we want to do now is we draw our room, and instead of actually, let's make some sprites for it. Sorry, we had an issue. Sorry to hear you've corrupted your SD card, Gaz. Yeah, it's always a good idea to back up your SD card. Keep with Commodore stuff. Yeah, and for remounting in the browser. Yeah, always back up your stuff on the PC. Hopefully all you'll need to do is just grab the repo again and any games you want to put on there. And what I'll do is after this episode, Gaz, I will put the source files and all the data files that you need on in Discord, in the tutorials group in Discord. Tutorials Discord. You can grab it from there, and then carry on next in 2 weeks. Right. So at the end of this program, I'll save and then put it in the Discord, and then you can carry on. Go back through the video when we when it's finished. Right, so .spr edit my spr2 .spr. Right. I want to wipe this because I want to draw a tank. I don't know how wide it's going to be. Wrong direction. Five, by 5, yeah. Right, turret. Green, bright green turret. Got tank going up, and I'm not expecting anyone to draw decent graphics because I can't anyway. So if you can't draw decent graphics, don't worry about it. Actually, I need to copy that one and paste it there because we want it somewhere where we can have a blank one. Right, so we want, as we draw the maps with these same tile sets, because we've only got the one bank at the moment, or one set of 48k to play around with. Well, it's actually 32k because we don't have the screen. We can't use the screen to start off with. Yenyorg at 8,000 and go up to FFFF. So as we've only got 32k to play with initially until we get the extra banks in, then don't want to have too many sprites. Can't have two tile sets because that'll be 32k because it's 16k each set. Right, so what I will do is copy that, put it there, and then I will now copy that and put it there and there and there and there and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Right. I've set that too big, haven't I? That'll do. Right. And then need to go to the next one. I found it. We found the code. Yeah, you'll have an extra week to sort out. Right, so if we so there we go. It's our tank that can move. Actually, it should be the whole tank that changes direction, shouldn't it? But anyway, it's going to be a square that doesn't rotate, and it'll move around in 8 directions. But that'll be it for now, for the drawing, because otherwise it'll go on for too long. And another thing we will want is bullet. Right, let's save that. So basically starts at not 1, 2, 3, 4. Starts at 4. Right. What? Whew. That's a relief. Yeah, it's all still right. Right. Got food in. The Unix coders having ls as a cat. And then just catch up in the chat. Are you setting DE to be any value, Stuart? Load in handler. In the draw block, do you want to quickly go through it? So we got draw L2 block, push HL, push DE, push BC, push AF, load L with 0, load H with A, add HL, sprites, load A, brackets, current banks +1, push AF, load A with D, and E0, RLCA, 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 add A, 9 times 2, which is the screen bank, and then load current banks +1, A, and next reg, MMU register 1, A, load A with D and string 1F, add A, string 20, load D with A, and then load C, 16, load B, 16, well, DL2BC loop, load B, 16, and DL2B loop, DL2B loop, load A, bracket HL, load D with A, inc HL, inc E, DGNZ, DL2B loop, and then load A with E, sub 16, load E with A, inc D, dex C, JRNZ, actually I'll make it at JP because it jumps back more than it falls through. DL2B C loop, and then pop AF, load current banks +1, A, and next reg MMU register 1, A, pop AF, pop BC, pop DE, pop HL, ret. So did that help at all, Stuart? Right. Load player 2.odn and load buddies 2.odn. Hey, it works. No problem. Glad you sorted it. Did you follow on with and you should be alright. Did you draw the tank? Or did you not draw your tanks yet? As you were busy trying to fix it. Glad you got it sorted anyway. Right, as we're getting close to 5 o'clock, we've got 35 minutes left. We'll try and press on a bit. Because what we can do now with our character is if we got a sprite handler, haven't we? So if we go to there, our sprite handler, our character sprite's image is in the C register. Right, so if we go back to our baddies 2 routine, it began with 4, didn't it? So if we just set that to 4 initially, actually, have we got a? Oh yeah, got the animation frames and type. Yeah. Characters should be we should probably split this up at some point, but we'll do that another time, maybe next week. Right. Got move up, down, left, right. And the baddies. They've got their own anyway, haven't they? That's why I was in the wrong one. I was in baddies, not player. Right. Baddies. So I'll draw a sprite for the baddie. We can now take off this plot because we don't want to plot a pixel where the character is. And where our draw player is, draw characters, we want to add sprite. Player 2. Same with player 2, we want to now draw a sprite. Our image is 4, wasn't it? Right, so string 04. Right, then we want to, where we handle a player, we don't want to plot the pixel anymore. Right, now right, so if we don't want to do the player die when you've hit a pixel, we want it to stop moving. So we'll need a bigger collision routine, but for now we'll just do the check pixel and then Z, and Z, because if you've hit something, you don't want to set the new position, and then we will we want to set the player's position, don't want to plot, and we want to return. Right, what we want to do is, if we don't do another piece of code here now, then what's going to happen is it's gonna get stuck in a loop because you can't die. So we want to check for which have cap shift. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and then in a comma bracket 254 RRA jump C comma A in C comma player death. Right, so cap shift is now kill yourself. Right, save that. No. I'm gonna have to close that and yes, and then quit out. Right, as that is still there, I will reset that. Load player2.odn and load main.odn. Right, now we need to swap back to player 2. I need to make sure that our changes that we did is in. So we've got that made it into it, which is good. Now it's just this bit. So it's ret nz. So if you've hit something, then don't set the new position, and then just return. Yep. Right. Save. Main.odin. Close that. Right, I'm going to remount it. Mouse. Right. Odin. Load main.odn. Load player2.odn. Make sure it's saved okay. Yep, that's fine. Assemble main.odn. and to restart. Turn it off, turn it on again. I think my just reseat the SD card. Hopefully that should fix it. No. I think it's there we go. The HDMI input or capture needed to reset. Right, let's try again. Make sure I'm in the right folder. Yeah. Load main.odn. Hey. Doesn't move because the screen is not black because I cleared the sprite, didn't I? I have to reset. .spr edit my spr2.spr. Now it's this, it needs to be black, that's the problem. So it might be easier to copy that and paste it there and then just set the black in the bits that aren't set. Save. Right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go back to the browser after using the Sprite editor because I've got a feeling there might be something to do with that. And then remount just to make sure. And then break next basic dot odin. Load main.odn, assemble and run. Yay. Right. I should remember I can't die unless I press shift. Should be shift, but it's not working. Did I do that? I have to reset it. Right. Odin load player 2.odn. Yeah, I forgot to do it, didn't I? Forgot to do the player death bit in this bit of code. And that's all that was. So I need to do do it here. Load BC comma string fe in a comma bracket C RA jump C comma NC comma player death. Right, so I should be able to save that and then load main.odn. Now I wonder, did switch to main. Cool. And then right now I should be able to shift and I die. Yeah. Right. Okay, move that. My Sprite's not getting turned off. So what's that? Let's power off. Load main. Odn. Load game. Then game 2. Odn. That should be jump game exit. In fact, we can cut that and paste it there, and cut that and paste it there, so it's down the bottom. And then we don't need this game exit because it falls into which turns our sprites off. And if you do that for game, well, we don't need to do it for game 1, but I will do, because even though there's no sprites on it at the moment, it should need it. So if we load game 1, 1.odn, cut that, paste it here, cut that, paste that there, into game exit routine. Right. Main menu, assemble, and run. Right. Yay, sprites are off. Right, now as it's nearly getting close to 5, what I'll do is, rather than going on into the next stage, which is getting the tank moving around and stuff, we'll save that for the next lesson, rather than getting into something deep now. because once we get the player in, then we'd need the tanks moving around as well, and so it would be easier to just call it a day here while we're at this stage, and then we can carry on in 2 weeks. Kept causing you problems. Well, this should work now. Now that you've got the blocks being able to draw. Yeah, it's ideal for light cycles, but when we're going to do with just doing the tanks, I'll show you a bigger collision. Yeah, no problem, Tony. And again, thanks Peg for helping out in the background, and you, Matt. Matt being Langley this time, not Davies. Yeah, but like I say, next episode we'll go over getting the tanks in and moving and collision on the size of the tanks. Yeah, at least you can catch up now. What I will do as well, if you want, I can either rewatch the video and check. Actually, while we've got time, what I will do is I will go through the files. So we've got our main.odn, and then anyone who's following on can catch up and check their files to make sure it's the same. So this is the first page of main.ods. Not much has changed on that bit. And then as you get to the title, this is where it starts changing in the code now. Because what we do is we call the main menu as before, but now we call play game, which is in the game, the game 1 or game 2.odn, and then we go back to title, and then our exit program, just turn the screen off, layer 2 screen off, set the old banks up and stack, restore the stack, and then turn. I could do the call sprites off there, but the game over sorts that anyway. Although the menu doesn't, so anyway, no, I'll leave it there because we're calling it a day after this. And now got just banks, menu, MISC, DMA, screen handler, sprite handler, and input in the main set of include files. And we've now got game2.odn, which has our game. We can now change that to game 1, or we can make more games and have game 3, game 4, or whatever you want to call them. It doesn't have to be called game. But we've now got our game in include, but we've got all our miscellaneous functionality for menus, miscellaneous DMA, screen handler and stuff in our main. Now if I load the data.odn, actually it's not data, it's data1.odn. There's our data for our room data. Just to remind you, it's 16 columns and 12 rows. And then we've got load player1.odn. And the changes we made to this was, not player1, player2.odn. What we did was we added the changed C to 4 for the sprite image to 04 hex, and uncommented out this add sprite, and further down in the handle player bit we added this for BC with FEFE, which is the port for capture, and then capture ZXCV, and rotate right arithmetically, or rotate right A actually, which just brings the cap shift into the carry flag, and if it's not carry, if it's not set, it means we've pressed the button, and if so, it jumps to player death. And we changed this check pixel to return not 0, so if you have hit a wall, it just returns and doesn't set the player position. It just returns instead of jumping to player death. And we commented out the plot to L2, so it doesn't leave a trail. And did we have anything else, or was that it? I think that was it. Yeah, that was it for now. And then in buddies2.odn, more or less did the same. We set C to 4, which is the sprite number for it initially. Add sprite, uncommented that, so it draws the sprite, and then we commented out the plot. This still dies when it hits a wall, but that doesn't matter because we're changing the code next week, next session. And then we have game2.odn, and this is basically taking the game stuff out of main.odn, starting up play game. So that didn't change anything. That changed this week was we had load A, 0, draw L2 room. Still draw the box and players and do the countdown to 3, 2, 1. Have the game, and then what we did was we changed this bit here. So if the player's dead, it jumps to player not dead. If the player's got, if no lives left, it'll just fall into this game exit, which turns sprites off. You could just change that to a jump actually, but it was in case he wants to add anything else. But yeah, we'll leave it as a jump for now. There was a call-in routine, so it no longer returns to Odin, jumps back to the bit in game, bit in main, which goes back to the menus. Right, so then this player not dead was up here, but we moved it outside so that could fall into the game exit. And then we included the baddies 2, player 2, and data 2, and my sprite 2 inside the game source, because then it can change with the game. And that, I believe, is it. Oh yeah, screen handler. ODN. Basically after the CLS layer 2 we added a couple of routines, which is the draw L2 room, or draw layer 2 room, which is load E with 12 times 16, which is how many rows and how many columns, to multiply A, which is the room number, which then multiplies them together and then adds it to the room data where the room data is, so we can have more than one room as well. At the moment we've just got the one room. And then we draw, so we set the X and Y position up to put it, so D is the Y and E is the X, but 0 for both. And we have our C loop, which is our it's actually our row loop, and then our column loop is B. So we've got our load B with 16 here, just to reset it to 16, otherwise when you go through this DGNZ it'll be 0, and then if we jump back to there, B will be 0, so we have to reset it to 16 here. We get the byte from the room data, increase the pointer, draw the block, which doesn't change, it preserves the registers, so we can just add 16 to the E, or the X position, and DGNZ, which decreases this B register, which draws 16 blocks, and then load A with D, add A with 16, load D with A, goes down 16 pixels, and then if it's less than 892, which is 12 times 16, then it goes back to this C loop. So it'll draw and keep going through that loop, and then eventually return. And then this draw block is the last bit of changes that we did today. So draw layer 2 block, preserve all the registers, HLD, BC and AF. A comes in with the block and DE is the XY position. So we set L to 0 and H to be A, which is 256 times the block, because we're setting it in high byte. So that's a quick 2 times 256 for HL. So basically that's HL equals A times 256. And that's what them two lines do. And then our add HL comes sprites, we add the offset to the sprites, and then we get the current bank for bank 1, because we want to preserve it, because we want to put the same ROM bank or bank back in bank 1. And then we push AF, because we want to preserve that bank for retaining it. And then we get the Y position and it with the top 3 bits, because we want to find out which 8K bank you want to draw in. And then rotate it left with carry 3 times. And add to bring the bits to here, to 0, 1, 2, to bits 0, 1, 2, so numbers 0 to 7. And then we add 9 times 2, which is the base offset for the bank for layer 2, and then we set the bank in bank 1, 8K bank 1 to the bank where the sprites are. Then we get the Y position, and with 1F, which is 31, and so that's 8K basically, an address of 8K inside that bank. We add the offset of 20 because we want bank 1, so we could do 1 times 20. So if you wanted to put it in bank 7, we'd just do 7 times 20, but because we're using bank 1, it's just 20. And then load D with A, and then that sets the high byte of D and E, well, D for the for where to write onto the screen. And then we have our 16 and 16 counters for the X and Y. So for the X, we get byte, store it on the screen, increase the pointer to the next pixel we want to draw, point to the next byte on screen, and then loop 16 times, then subtract 16 from the X position, and then increase the Y position, and then dex C because you're doing our counter, and then jump NZ back to the row loop. Pop AF, which is our current bank that we had, that was in bank 1 before we changed it, and then we return it, well, set it back to bank 1 to be the old bank before we called this routine, and then pop AFBC, restore all register, well, the main registers again, and then return. And that is it. That's all the changes we did today to this file. So yeah, all good. And should be able to see you all in 2 weeks. If you have any questions, let me know either on Facebook or in Discord. Yeah, no worries, Dave. Glad you enjoyed it. And we're getting there. So, in fact, what I'll do is I'll give you some homework for in 2 weeks. What I want you to do, if you're not up to date, obviously get up to date. But what I want you to do for the next 2 weeks is to design some block layouts for the game that we're doing, whatever game. You can design your own tanks or whatever. So you've got your 8 directions in the ones that we did, and just do a couple of blocks that you can randomly put around your map, and post them in the Spectrum Next Facebook group, because I want to see what you've done, because always interested in seeing how you're getting on with it. But yeah, that's your homework for the next 2 weeks. Good luck, guys, and see you in 2 weeks. Have a good one, guys. Right, turning off now.